get sick.
I never get sick. 我从来不生病。
Where are you not feeling well?
哪儿不舒服？
Sometimes Chinese herbal medicine is very bitter.
中草药很苦，有时候中草药很苦。
I will boil some water.
我煮一点水，
The doctor prescribed some Chinese medicine for me.
医生给我开了一点中药。医生给我开了一点中药。
Last week, I watched a street interview and pretended to be the person being interviewed and responded to the questions. And then after the fact, wrote down some phrases that I had some trouble saying during that exercise. And now I'm going into ChatGPT to get some translations to take notes as well over here. I was looking at this translation here, and I noticed that they put two separate translations for communication sciences and disorders. And I was curious. I wanted to know what the main difference was between these characters here, which is 传播, and these characters 沟通, because those are really the only different characters in these. So I asked ChatGPT what the difference is between 传播 and 沟通. 传播, it seems to be more about communication as like broadcasting. So like mass communication through technological means, through media. And 沟通 is more about interpersonal communication. So that's what what I specialize in. That's my major. So I went ahead and I'm going to go ahead and learn the phrase for interpersonal communication here. So this, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this translation here for my major, 沟通科学与障碍, which is communication sciences and disorders. You have to be careful asking ChatGPT for translations sometimes because words like communication are ambiguous, right? It has multiple meanings. It has multiple meanings. It could be communication between people, communication that is nonverbal, communication that's over media. So it's important to kind of specify and then do your own research as to what's the difference between those terms. Alright, so like I said, I'm going to watch this video, respond as if I'm being interviewed. I'm going to make sure I use these phrases that I just took notes on and just see how I do.
Welcome to Better in Chinese Street Talk. Today we're in China and we'll interview some people on the streets about their daily life. Do you want to improve your listening skills? Let's go! 你好。
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 你贵姓？
我姓唐。
姓杨，我叫杨博宇。
我姓唐，我的中文名字是唐新月，我的英文名字是 Justin。
杨先生你好，你今年多大
？20。
我今年26岁。
13岁。
你已经毕业了吗？还是还在上学？
已经。
我已经毕业了。已经毕业了。
那你工作了吗？
是的，我已经工作了。
可以告诉我你的工作是什么吗？
我是我初中的语言治疗师，我帮助有语言障碍的学生。在我大学的专业是沟通科学语言与障碍。
是做光伏相关的一个销售类岗位。
那你大学学的专业是什么？我
我上大学的时候，我上大学的时候，我大学的专业是沟通科学与障碍。
学的是金融。
哦，那你和现在从事的工作不太一样。
对。
那你
我觉得我的专业和我的工作很一样。
你喜欢你现在的工作吗？
对，我很喜欢我的工作，因为我觉得我的工作很有成就感，很成就感。我很喜欢我的工作，因为我觉得我的工作很有成就感，
还可以，比较喜欢一点。
那你每天什么时候要起床上班？
大概
每天都我7点起床，每天早上我7点起床，
在10点就要出门，9点多会起床。
那下班是什么时候？
下班是
我下午4点下班。
6点。
哦，那还好，就是8个小时左右。
差不多，对的，差不多。
那你每天几点睡觉？
我晚上11、12睡觉。我晚上11、12点睡觉。
大概12点左右，晚上12点。
I like that word 大概 it's like around. I need to use that word more.
然后你每天早上起床的第一件事是做什么？
睁开。
The first thing I do, 我先看我的手机。我去洗手间。我去洗手间。我去洗手间。To freshen up. I learned how to say that a while ago, and I'm blanking on it. On how to say I freshen up, or I get ready. 洗漱。I think it's like I don't know. I think 起床 is that to get up or to wake up? I'm not too sure. 我起床，然后去洗手间洗漱。
那你喜欢小动物吗？
是的，我很喜欢。是的，我喜欢小动物。
我特别喜欢狗狗。
我最喜欢的小动物是狗。
那你有养狗狗吗？
我有一只狗。
你是哪里人？
我是乔治亚州人。
你最喜欢的城市是哪个？
我最喜欢的城市是，我最喜欢的城市是亚特兰大，因为我住在这儿。
为什么？
对，我最喜欢的城市是亚特兰大，因为我住在这儿，以及我觉得亚特兰大是一个很热闹的城市，有很多的有很多的要做。There's a lot to do.
因为我在那边长大，我的朋友也在那边。
那你去过哪些国家？
我去过，我去过巴拿马、希腊和丹麦，我也去过波多黎各，可是波多黎各不是一个国家。
去过美国、印度尼西亚、泰国、韩国。
你最喜欢的国家是哪个？
我最喜欢的国家是巴拿马，因为巴拿马我很喜欢巴拿马的食物和巴拿马沙滩。我觉得巴拿马是一个很我觉得我在巴拿马能放松，和享受风景。
可能会比较向往日本嘛，但是我因为我在国外有待过7年，在美国，所以可能还是对美国感情会稍微深一点。
理解理解。除了英语，你还会说别的语言吗？
除了英语，我会说西班牙语。我已经说西班牙语流利了，和我正在学中文。
不会。
你是独生子女还是有兄弟姐妹？
我有一个弟弟。
我是独生子女。
你最
I actually don't know how to say stepbrother too. I don't know how to say step.
有兄弟姐妹？
我是独生子女。
你最喜欢的颜色是什么？
我最喜欢的颜色是绿色。
喜欢红色。
你最喜欢的水果是什么？
我最喜欢的水果是菠萝。Yeah， 我最喜欢的水果是，我最喜欢的水果是菠萝。
西瓜。
因为我喜欢吃酸的东西。
比较甜。
你喜欢吃的早饭是什么？
French toast, sausages 和鸡蛋。I think that's eggs.
可能是面食会比较多一些。
好，我也喜欢吃面食。你喜欢喝什么饮料？
我喜欢喝珍珠奶茶和雪碧。我可能，我最喜欢的可乐是雪碧。I think it's just soda in general, right? 我最喜欢的可乐是雪碧。我很喜欢喝饮料，特别珍珠奶茶和雪碧。
喜欢喝水，因为以前会很喜欢喝。
我在家常常喝水，
就是冰红茶、可乐这些，但是
我在家的时候，我一般喝水，可是我出去的时候，我喜欢喝珍珠奶茶和雪碧。
以前会很喜欢喝就是冰红茶、可乐这些，但是后面开始有接触到健身之后，就还是喝水会比较多一些。
因为水最健康。
对的。
你在美国在哪个州啊？
在美国，我在乔治亚州。
在中部内布拉斯加。
Alright, so that time I did a lot better. I marked some more phrases that I want to learn. But I feel like that time my responses flowed a little bit better, and I was able to even add some more details because I wasn't thinking as much.
入住，我要入住酒店。他刚入住，请去前台办理入住。
办理入住。I'm going to check in at the hotel, or I want to check in at the hotel. He just checked in. Please check in at the front desk. 办理入住，办理入住，请去前台办理入住。
洗漱，请先去洗漱。我洗漱以后吃饭，孩子们在洗漱。
请先去洗漱，请先去洗漱。我洗漱以后吃饭，孩子们在洗漱。To freshen up, or to to freshen up. Please, first go freshen up. After I freshen up, I'm going to eat a meal, and then the kids are getting ready or freshening up.
餐，我每天送餐，他骑车送餐，送餐很快。
他骑车送餐，送餐很快。To deliver food, I deliver food every day. He delivered food. I forgot what this means. 汽车. And this is delivering food is very fast. By bike. Okay, interesting.
享受，我很享受这个活动。他享受听音乐，孩子们在享受游戏。
享受，我很享受这个有个活动。这个活动，他享受听音乐，孩子们在享受游戏。I really enjoyed this activity. He is enjoying listening to music, or he enjoys listening to music. The kids are enjoying the game.
请听下面的对话。
Please listen to the following conversation.
在美国，庆祝感恩节很有意思。
He said, in America, celebrating Thanksgiving is very interesting.
感恩节，美国人庆祝丰收。
The lady said, for Thanksgiving, Americans have a harvest.
美国人和他们家人团聚。
Americans and their family members have a reunion. They gather.
中国人和他们家人春节团聚。
So he said Chinese people and their family members. 春节. I know it says something about reunion, like have a reunion. Let me listen to that again.
感恩节，美国人庆祝丰收。美国人和他们家人团聚。
Right here.
中国人和他们家人春节团聚。
春节团聚. I'm not sure. I think it has something to do with having a family reunion.
中国人吃火鸡吗？
Do Chinese people eat turkey?
中国没有火鸡。
China does not have any turkeys.
中国人喜欢吃烤鸭。
Chinese people like to eat roasted duck.
请再听一次。
Okay. And that's the end of the
在美
conversation.
国，
So aside from that one word in the conversation, I am able to understand that conversation pretty well now. It uses some of the phrases just from this unit and a couple words from the previous lessons. But yeah, now I'm just going to go throughout the lesson and show you guys how my speaking skill is. And after listening to the conversation the second time, I realized that 春节 is the Chinese New Year or Spring Festival.
You are very lucky.
你们运气很好。
你们运气很好。
Thanksgiving Day is a very important holiday.
感恩节是一个很重要的节日。
感恩节是一个很重要的节日。
They overcame a lot of challenges.
他们克服了很多的挑战。
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 Do you remember how you would say, I brought champagne?
我带香槟酒。
我带来了香槟酒。
我带来了香槟酒。带来了。我带来了香槟酒。
Your son says, Happy New Year.
新年快乐。
新年快乐。
My children very much like to eat dessert.
我孩子很喜欢吃甜点。
我孩子很喜欢吃甜点。
They don't like to clean the house thoroughly.
可是他们不喜欢大扫除。
Happy New Year.
新年快乐。
新年快乐。
This is the end of Unit 30, the last unit of Pimsleur's Mandarin 5.
We have finished that. Now the last thing we need to do is the voice coach, and we get our badge. 农基有很多的传统习俗。农村 That's right, 农村。
In cities, do Chinese people worship their ancestors?
在城市里，中国人拜祖先吗？在城市里，中国人拜祖先吗 ？Nice.
My parents live in the countryside.
农村。我父母住在农村。Cool.
This year we had a bountiful harvest.
All right, last one. 丰收了。今年我们丰收了。Let's go. Completed the challenge, my daily challenge. If I go to my profile, there we go. So that just means that I completed all of the voice coach challenges in every level of Pimsleur, essentially completing all of the Pimsleur Mandarin. Alright, there goes my streak. It took me 76 days to finish every single Pimsleur lesson. Go to my certificates. There go all of my badges and my language certificate. I've completed all of the levels 1 through 5. Alright guys, we are officially at 206 hours. So I'm going to give you guys my 200-hour takeaways. I'm going to need to talk about the positives, the negatives, things that I've just noticed about learning Chinese, and things that I plan on changing. So, positives. I'm very happy with the progress that I've made making sentences. I'm already making complex sentences after only 11 weeks of studying Chinese. I can make sentences with although, 虽然在下雨，可是我们要去公园。Even although it is raining, we are going to go to the park. Before, words I can use before and after. Like I can use these connecting words to make sentences because. I'm using because to make sentences now pretty consistently. Yeah. 我们要去商场，因为我太太想买一件新的 连一群. Yeah, we are going to go to the mall because my wife wants to buy a new dress. I think I still need to work on the measure words, but I think that's pretty solid of a sentence, grammar-wise. So yeah, I'm very happy with my ability to make sentences right now. Let's talk about Pimsleur for a little bit. So I just finished all of the lessons on Pimsleur. That's 150 lessons. So I've finished all of them, and I've also done all of the 150 voice coach challenges. And to be honest with you guys, you only need Pimsleur's 1 to 3 for conversational Chinese. In my opinion, the topics covered in Pimsleur 4 and Pimsleur 5, you're either going to be exposed to those things through comprehensible input, so really just things like the colors, the animals, the what else did they talk about? Because there wasn't really a whole lot of useful information that they covered in Pimsleur 4 and 5. I wrote down some of the topics that were covered. They talked about architecture, economics, the family structure, transportation alternatives, business vocabulary. So a lot of that stuff you're just not going to talk about as a beginner Chinese learner. I know I'm not going to, and a lot of it's just going to end up being forgotten. But the vocab and the phrases that you learn in Pimsleur's 1 to 3 are survival vocab. You need that vocab. So if you're going to use Pimsleur to learn Chinese, I'd recommend just going up to level 3, and just not even learning 4 and 5. It literally got to a point where I got pretty frustrated with the ridiculous vocabulary they were trying to teach me. So that's a good thing, because that's going to help you guys save a little money. So if you are going to learn Chinese with Pimsleur, just stick to 1, 2, and 3. Opening my own voice rooms has actually allowed me to remember some phrases a lot easier. So like telling somebody, 轮到你了, like it's your turn. 轮到我了吗? Like, is it my turn? 你们想上台来吗? Like, do you guys want to come up to the stage? 你们想上台来吗? 我们要做一个语言的活动. Types of phrases that I just say in every room. Yeah, I'm starting to just pick up on those phrases and not have to think so much about how to say them. So I'm pretty happy with that. Using the words, I think so when I'm going through my, now talking about Anki, actually having the words that I want to memorize in sentences and in context has actually pre-exposed me to some of the more advanced grammar structures that I am running into in my comprehensible input. So it's kind of pre-exposing me to that type of grammar, and it's helping me kind of pick it out a little easier when I'm just listening to Chinese. And then using Audacity has helped me a lot with those really hard to pronounce words. So just practicing those specific words in Audacity and shadowing has helped me a lot. What I did was I took audio of a native speaker or an AI pronouncing the words, and then I pronounced it myself and compared the pronunciations until they were essentially identical. So because of that, I have less moments where native speakers are saying, what did you say? Or, huh? Or I have had less moments where native speakers are correcting my pronunciation of words. So I know it's working. And it's these specific words that are just so hard to pronounce for me. I practiced those, and now I've had less times where they're correcting it. So it's been working very well. Let's talk about the negatives. So I mentioned this before, but Pimsleur has gotten a little ridiculous with the vocabulary that it has taught me. In level 4 and 5, I was expecting, maybe longer phrases. I was definitely expecting some more functional phrases. But no, in levels 4 and 5, I have a list of just some of the ridiculous phrases and words that they've taught in those sessions, in those lessons. Soup dumplings, Buddhist temple, flower appreciation. When I learned how to say flower appreciation,
I almost turned it off. I literally almost turned off that audio. I was like, there is no way I'm going to waste my time learning this word or this. Like, I get it that they essentially are developing the lesson around the culture. And this is essentially what happens when you do that to the max. You are prioritizing teaching culture over teaching functional phrases to beginners. And I'm never going to use these phrases unless I like go to China and I guess talk about these things. But it's going to be a very long time before I say anything about joint enterprises, zippers, about dancing on street corners, peonies. I didn't even know that was a thing. So yeah, there's just a whole list of words here and more that I just was forced to learn in those lessons. I also had to learn very specific names for cities and attractions. All of this, by the way, I've learned all of these random vocabulary, and they maybe talked about 3 colors. They may have talked about maybe 4 animals at most. They taught jobs a good bit, but barely the more important ones. There's still some jobs that they didn't cover. They talked about maybe 3 pieces of clothing. They taught jeans, pants, shirt. Those are the most functional ones. They also taught sweater. They taught, I think, overcoat, something else. But, just, I don't understand why I was learning I don't understand why I was learning all of this vocab in level 5, and then, like, it took all the way to level 5 to learn these vocab, and then they prioritize all this random vocab over functional phrases like, how was your day? How do you feel? What are your plans for today? What do you recommend? These are survival phrases that I'm going to have to use very soon, But no, I'm learning how to say, old people dance on the street corners and nanxian. Like, I'm just never going to say that. It sounds like it's giving Duolingo. So yeah, there was just grammar not being addressed. There was basic vocabulary just not being addressed in levels 4 and 5, and it's pretty disappointing. Also, in levels 4 and 5, there's way less repetition. So the vocabulary that I learned in 4 and 5 is going to be gone very soon because, and the issue was with Pimsleur, they probably taught maybe 5 to 10 new vocab words every single lesson. So imagine having to learn 10 new words every single day. Not even every single day, because I did 2 lessons per day. So that could be up to 20 new words to remember. So it was just too much. It was way too much, and there was just not enough repetition towards the end of level 5. So it was crazy. Aside from Pimsleur, I got 2 notes about HelloTalk. So I get kind of frustrated in the HelloTalk voice rooms, even the ones that I run myself, because when I make a mistake, I really want corrections. Like, I want corrections as soon as I make a mistake, because I know if I don't get corrections, I don't know if I'm communicating effectively, or I don't know if I'm saying things right. So I want to be corrected, but what usually ends up happening in the rooms is the Chinese speakers either assume that I can't read characters or opinion, or they just kind of shrug off the error, or even laugh. Some of them even just laugh when I make a mistake. Now, I think all those things aren't going to help me learn Chinese, so I need to tell them, like, hey, please give me corrections. If I'm saying something wrong, write it down in the chat, and I will look at the pinyin and figure out how to say it. And if I still say it wrong, just say it how you say it, and I'll try to imitate you. I'll shadow you. But yeah, that's something that frustrates me a good bit. Also in HelloTalk, when I ask for the translation of sentences, a good bit of the translations that people, Chinese speakers give me are like watered down, easier versions, or sometimes not even what I'm trying to translate, but it's just an easier way to say it. Now, there's a time and a place for that. There's a time and a place to give someone an easier translation. But there's a difference between, for example, if I ask someone how to say to wash up in Chinese, right? That's different from asking someone how to say to take a shower, right? To wash up and to take a shower, very similar, but not entirely the same, because washing up, that could be brushing your teeth, that could be washing your face, just kind of fixing yourself up a little bit before you do whatever you gotta do. Taking a shower means you're taking a shower. You're getting in the shower, right? Those are two separate words in Chinese, right? So I want to know those two separate words. I want to know the difference because I want to be able to speak proficiently. So and I'm going to address this later, but I have some things to work on. Yeah, those are just some things that have been bothering me in the voice rooms and in Pimsleur. Some things that I've noticed. So after 2 months of learning Chinese, the honeymoon period is over. Not saying I'm not excited to learn Chinese anymore, but it's definitely become a lot harder for me to commit multiple, more than 3 hours a day studying Chinese. A lot of now I think I'm dedicating like an hour and a half to 2 hours learning Chinese. At first it was like 3 hours, 4 hours a day learning Chinese. Yeah, I'm not able to dedicate that same type of time and energy. But who says that I won't be able to get back to that? Also, I'm able to guess what a word is sometimes based on the radical in the characters. Meaning, if I see like how a character is written, sometimes I can figure out the part of the pronunciation based on if I see a radical. So like a part of how you write the character. If I see that part, I know, okay, so that's a ma, or that's a da, or that's a nung, or that's a fu, right? I can kind of look at it and figure out at least what the pronunciation is, and then work on the tones later. Sometimes I can guess what the tones of a word are now based on just hearing it, so I can hear it and know, okay, that's a rising tone, or that's a falling rising tone. I can just listen to it now, and I know that some of you guys are learning Chinese or learning another language, and I wanted to highlight the main resources that I'm using right now to learn Chinese. I use each of these resources at least once per week to study and work on Chinese. So Pimsleur, YouTube, Hello Talk. I also use Microsoft OneNote and Word. My Anki flashcards, I use Natural Readers. That's a AI text-to-speech platform. I use Speech Notes. That is a AI speech-to-text platform to work on pronunciation. And Audacity. I also use that to work on my pronunciation. So those are the main resources that I use. That's not all of the resources that I've used in this challenge. I'm actually making a running list of all the resources that I've used so far, and by the end of the challenge you guys will have a full list of everything that I've used during the challenge. Things that I need to change. I'm not having as many face-to-face interactions as I would like. I actually want to go out in the community and speak Chinese to people, so I'd like to do that more. Right now it's just me talking to my computer or talking to the people on Hello Talk. I want to actually see people and talk to people and use Chinese in real life. So I'd like to do that more. In the voice rooms, I'm going to start being more upfront about how I learn, right? If I make a mistake, please correct me, as in write the correct way to say it. Don't just say it in your natural Chinese speech. Like, write it down, please. That's how I learn best, by people writing it down. Then I can go through each part visually and see where I messed up. Daily voice rooms have been a game changer, so I need to get on it with at least getting into a voice room if I'm not going to hold my own voice room every single day to work on Chinese, because that has leveled up my speaking pretty substantially, in my opinion. And finally, I have to admit, even though this past 100 hours Pimsleur has been a nightmare to do, it has been a really great tool to build a habit of, listening and speaking Chinese every single day for the past 76 days. So now I'm going to have to find something different to do to get those hours in, because that was a good hour every single day, a very easy hour every single day. All I had to do was listen to the lessons and repeat. But now I got to find another way to get consistent practice in every single day without Pimsleur. So I got to figure that out soon. I have a list of topics here, a long list of topics here that was covered in the past 100 hours. I'll just kind of go down the list. I'll try to remember how to say some of these. A lot of this I've forgotten just because I haven't had to use it a whole lot in the past 100 hours. So I learned how to say that something hurts. I know that's tongue. Like, so my head hurts, 我头疼. My stomach hurts, 我肚子疼. 我肚子疼, 我头疼. My throat hurts, I think it's 我喉咙疼. Is it 喉咙 or 喉咙? I think it's 喉咙疼 or 喉咙疼. Fever is 发烧, 我发烧, 我发烧. It's like I have a fever. Chinese herbal medicine, that's 中草药. And then prescribe medication is 开药, I think that's prescribed medicine. 开药. I've learned the prepositions here, how to say next to, 旁边, in front, 前, nearby, it's like 近, and then far is 远, yuan. On the right side, 在右边, and then on the left side, 在左边. To make reservations at a restaurant or hotel, I think is 订. Yeah, 我订酒店. Yeah, 我订一个房间. 我订了一个房间. I reserved a room. Yeah. To make phone calls, I learned some things, like how to say wrong number. 我电话打错了. I think it's how you say I called the wrong number. I'll learn how to say I'll call again. Phone number is 电话号码. Talking about meetings or receptions, I don't remember how to say reception. I know a meeting is 一个会. 会 is a meeting. I learned how to say kids, adults, young people, old people. 孩子, 大人. 眼镜人 is young people, and 老人 is old people. We worked on this. I worked on describing pictures. This past 100 hours in Chinese. We in Pimsleur they talked about moving to a new place and how to say that. It's like 搬, 我搬到了. I moved. So 我搬了, 我搬到纽约了. I moved to New York. 我搬到了纽约了. I think that's how you say that. Talks about hobbies. Hobbies is 爱好. 我的爱好, right? Talks about how to say interested, to interest and interesting. So to say that something interests me, I say 有兴趣. So I am interested in studying. I'm interested in studying Chinese. 我对学中文有兴趣. Yeah, that's how you say that. And then to say something is interesting, you say 有趣 or 有意思 is 很有意思 or 很有趣 is saying something is interesting. Rooms in the house, I learned how to say living room, 客厅. Kitchen is, I always hesitate on kitchen. I think it's 厨房. And then bedroom is 卧室. And then bathroom is 洗手间 or 卫生间. I think it's 卫生间. Is another one. Or 厕所. I learned how to use ji and yo to say both and. I learned how to say close to, far from, so 离近 or 离远. So I could say like my house is far from the school. 我的家离学校远. I think that's how you say that. I learned how to say some random stuff on
hello talk. I learned how to say some random stuff on Pimsleur, like society, air quality, population, modern, traditional, electric, and economy. Out of all these words, I think I remember how to say population. 人口. Traditional is 传统. Electric is 电 or 电动, 电动, I think. I can't remember how to say economy, modern, or air quality. I think air quality is like, I think air is 空气. I learned how to say that something is more and more, or fewer and fewer, bigger and bigger, smaller and smaller. You just say 越来越 and then the adjective. So like to say like my Chinese is getting better, I guess I could say 我的中文越来越好. In Pimsleur, they talked about the Chinese animal years, the zodiac signs. Talked about some farm animals and pets. Food allergies. So I know in order to say that I'm allergic to something, it's 我对海鲜过敏, or 我对 I forgot to say peanuts. 我对 I'm allergic to, I don't know what else I could be allergic to other than peanuts and seafood. Seafood was the main thing that they had. I think 花生 is 花生 peanuts? I think it is. 我对花生过敏. I'm allergic to peanuts. I think to say that you're a vegetarian is 我吃素. 我吃素. 我没有我不吃我不吃牛奶. I forgot how to say I forgot how to say I don't eat dairy products. But they did teach that in Pimsleur, and I just forgot how to say it. I learned the cardinal directions, so north, south, west, and east. North is 北, south is 南, west is 西, and then east is 东. And then in order to say like northeast, you would technically say east north. And that's why it's 东北. It's east north. 东北. Or Georgia is in the southeast of the United States, would be 乔治亚在美国的东南的东南部. Yeah, 东南部. Yeah, Georgia's in the southeast part of the United States. I learned how to say some economy and financial terms like stocks, 股票. I believe it's 股票 is stocks, I believe. The stock exchange, financial center. I can't remember how to say any of this stuff now. Price is 价格, I think. 价格, something like that. Economy, can't remember how to say that. Export tax and shipping fee. All I remember is that free is 免费. I remember how to say that, 免费. To say that you are waiting in line, you say 排队. 排队. And then if you are cutting the line, it's 插队. 排队, 插队. Yeah, 我在这儿排队. I'm waiting in line here. 我在这儿排队. I learned how to say forks, spoons, chopsticks, knives, bowls, and cups. I learned how to say some adjectives: important, noisy, lively, safe, dangerous, risky, and suitable. Pimsleur also covered the types of water, like tap water, cold water, boiled water, scalding hot water. Pimsleur very briefly talked about temperature, like maybe 3 lessons worth, and I wish they talked about it more because I suck at talking about the weather. I think degree is like 度. Yeah, like 5 degrees would be like 5个度, 5度, or something like that, 5度, I think. Nature words, I learned how to say forest, 林. River is 河. I think lake is 湖. Mountain is 山. Tree, 树. And flower is 花, or 花. I learned some company words like enterprise. I think it's like 企业. I don't remember. I think it's 企业is like enterprise. And entrepreneur is 企业家.
CEO, I've forgotten how to say that, to be honest with you. Yeah, I forgot to say that. Company is 公司. Research, 研究. E-commerce, I don't know how to say that. And then manager, 能力, I think. 能力. I think that's how you say manager. I learned how to talk about food poisoning. I think it's like 我肚子坏了. 我吃肚子坏了. It's like I messed up my stomach from eating food. I think cooked meat is 熟肉. So it's like they didn't cook the meat. 他们不熟肉. I don't know. I can't remember how to say they didn't cook the meat enough. Getting clothing tailor made was another unit in China in Pimsleur. Yeah, I'm honestly pretty happy that I forgot how to say that because I'm never gonna use that. I learned how to say self, zichi, and then talking about apartments. So a landlord is 房东 and rent is 房租. That is everything, guys. That is all of the takeaways. I'm not saying that I didn't learn a lot in the past 100 hours. I definitely learned a lot, but yeah, there was definitely some things that was making the experience not so enjoyable. So I'm going to start working on being more upfront about how I want to learn things, and then really seeking out those face-to-face interactions. So I feel like that's really going to motivate me to keep learning more hours each day. Alright guys, so like I said, I am at 206 hours in the challenge so far. This week I studied 13 hours. This week was mainly just finishing Pimsleur. Finally finished Pimsleur level 5 today and got my certificate. I'm done with Pimsleur now. I also did another speaking activity where I responded to interview questions on YouTube. And then I did some passive listening. For my skill totals, we're at 71.5 hours of speaking. Looks like 93 hours of listening total. almost 42 hours of passive listening and 52 hours of active listening. 4.5 hours of reading, almost 5 hours of writing. Over 10 hours of learning vocabulary through English or note taking. 12 hours of reviewing or creating flashcards, and then almost 9 hours of grammar study and translation practice. So that's it, guys, for week 11, and that is it, guys, for week 11. If you guys learned something new in this video, if you got something out of those takeaways that I just covered, let me know what you learned. If you guys learned something new, or if you experienced something similar to what I've experienced so far, I would love to hear from you guys in the comments. And I'm going to be making some changes. I'm going to try to keep reflecting and figuring out how I can be more efficient and effective while learning Chinese. So these types of videos are helping me a lot learn how to learn Chinese. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. You can like, subscribe, and share the video. And I will see you guys in week 12. 再见.